Hello there, my name is Ben.
And my name is PTG.
And welcome back to Play the Game. And today we're taking a look at a game called Reus. It's a kind of, what would you say, a 2D platform?
A 2D RTS platform kind of game.
Kind of weird. It's really good though. Do you want to explain how it works?
Well, when you start off, you basically the main idea is that there are 4 different giants or gods, so it's kind of like a god type game, and you have a world which is just completely desolate, and then you have to create the environment, you have to create food, technology, wealth, all kinds of things, and essentially develop the human race from the beginning of time. And it's really interesting because there's no other game that I've seen which is quite like it. I mean, I've seen RTS games and I've seen God games, but they just haven't really taken this kind of approach, and it's really unique, I think.
And it's based on villages, so you get this earth, this kind of fresh world, and then you kind of spawn a certain area, so you get swamp, forest, mountain, and desert. That's the kind of arena that you get to play with, and then depending on what you've actually set down to begin with, so say you've got a forest, you then spawn, you put food and stuff into it, you inject it with like animals and stuff like that, and it becomes a village, and you kind of build that village up, as Boop was saying, you get it more technological and get it wealthy, but there's this kind of weird edge with it where if you go too far and you kind of extend your village too much, it gets greedy, and that's an issue if you have surrounding villages, because they go to war with each other, which
isn't good, and they destroy each other. And just like the thing is, the first thing that I noticed really was I was like, oh, this is nice, when I was playing the tutorial, because there are like 3 different tutorials which are very, easy to understand.
Yep.
And after about 1 or 2 games, then you actually understand fully where everything is and everything. But as soon as they introduced the greed element, I was like, well, that's really different, but that means that there's like some kind of pacing to the game, where you have to, if you go too fast, and obviously they're going to want more stuff like continuously, but then obviously you can't supply that because you're taking care of other villages, which you need to you have to make several villages to get more score and more points and all that stuff. But as soon as they introduce the greed element, it's just like it's mainly about pacing rather than doing things as quickly as possible, which is something which no RTS game in my mind has ever done. I mean, I've played stuff like Company of Heroes and Dawn of War and all different kinds of things, and all it is in those kind of games, you have to build things as quickly as possible, get the best units, then go out and try and attack and win. But with this, it is, you have to slow down and you have to take time and just progress quite slowly, because even because like you said, there's different types of villages. There's a desert, the swamp, and the forest villages, and they each require different kinds of resources. And I think that the desert people want more wealth, and the forest people want more food, and the swamp people want more technology. But the thing is, the idea is that you have to give them resources for them to complete projects, and with the projects they build like a granary, and they want more food for it, so that you get one of these ambassadors. And do you want to go into what the ambassadors are all about?
Well, there's obviously various ambassadors for the certain, so if you're in a forest, you'll get a forest ambassador. It doesn't matter, but essentially what it does is it unlocks something on one of your giants. So for instance, the ocean crab giant thing, if you select to pick up the ambassador of that, so you've built your wonder, if you want to call it that, whatever, and you get an ambassador, and ambassador is interested in your town. You only have a certain amount of time to do that, and I didn't know that until today. You only have a certain amount of time to actually get the ambassador to even spawn. But once he spawns, you then get to have him riding on the shoulders of one of your giants, and what he does is unlock an ability on one of those giants, which is really good, because you can then you don't always have to pick up an ambassador on a certain giant. You can spread them out. If you wanted to go on your forest giant, you can have an on your forest giant, and that's another kind of edge to the game. But the whole greed thing, I find that difficult to control. I don't even know if it's really controllable, because you have to do a certain amount to get an ambassador to kind of,
because like they'll start a wonder kind of thing, and then you have to give them what they want for that wonder, like they want
technology
10 technology and 20 wealth, and you have to build that stuff for them within their borders.
But you have to do that, so I don't know if you can really control greed. I don't know, there must be a way to kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, there is like different powers which Titans, the Giants Titans, whatever you want to call them, they have. Like the Earth Rock guy, he has an earthquake ability which pretty much destroys everything. So if a village is being too greedy and it's just causing problems, go over, smash it into pieces, and then that's gone. And you can do that with armies as well. You can destroy them, and I think the Swamp Giant has like a sludge attack which does like a damage over time effect. So you have to just make sure that you don't go too fast and that you need to... what I like to do typically is to have 2 villages on the other side of a piece of water, because then I can easily just go over and smash the water area and not do any damage, like destroy other people's stuff. But with them attacking, you can't really stop it, and that's just how humans are, I guess.
The other thing is, though, that once you're at a certain level and a certain time into the game, the giants go to sleep. Every now and then they'll go to sleep. So say if you wanted to smash up an army and your rock giant was asleep, you can't do that. I mean, there are other things you can do, but it depends on whether your giants are awake or not, and that becomes an issue. That really does become an issue when you get kind of down the road of playing it, that when they fall asleep you feel kind of helpless. And that's the other thing that's interesting about this, is this thing called symbiosis, which is each of these little bits of area is divided up into, I don't know, 10 to 15 little squares. You can see it's highlighted in a kind of vague yellow when you click on it, and underneath that is a line that shows the kind of area of effect that that square can have, and the kind of squares you need to put next to it are actually really important, because if you put certain squares next to other squares, they won't actually give you any form of symbiosis, and symbiosis is important to kind of advance a square. Do you want to explain how it happens? Because you can do slightly more than that. But
well, with the symbiosis thing, the basic, the most thing that they always seem to show you is blueberries and chickens. So if you have like a chicken farm placed down, like with one of the forest giants, you place one of those down, then you can use another giant to build like some plants next to it, and then there's a symbiosis where obviously the chickens will eat the blueberries, and then they will get and produce more food for the villagers and stuff. So that is an interesting mechanic that I think to the game, that they just have some kind of ecosystem. They have things linked in together and they do stuff just together. And
but that is really important. I mean, it's slightly more important than that, because you're building these, what are they called? They're not wonders, are they? I'm thinking of Age of Empires.
I think
projects.
They're called.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of Age of Empires. But with the projects, you have to reach a certain amount of material to actually complete a project. And sometimes, especially in the kind of harder levels, or the later levels, you are at a point where you have to be using the correct symbiosis, because if one square isn't working off another square and then neither are affecting each one, if you know what I mean, then they're essentially useless, because they could be giving you so much more from that square. You'll see on the screen underneath each square is what you're currently attaining from that one square, and that's really important. Those numbers with symbiosis go up, which is the most important thing really, and trying to collect. But the thing is, going back to the greed thing, you have to have a certain level in order to build the projects, and they always seem to get greedy. So
and the main problem is, like, with the projects and stuff, you will be building stuff, like, in the area, will be speeding up development, which obviously means they're going to get more greedy, and therefore, obviously, that causes a bit of a problem. So you have to kind of pace yourself a little bit with that, even though you are on a timer. But that's a thing as well. And another thing would be the upgrading process, where you obviously complete one of the projects, and then you can upgrade one of your giants, and then with the giants, they get the ability to, like a leaf ability, I think it's called an aspect.
Fruit,
so you can,
aspect,
you can like upgrade
Growth
one of the
aspect.
fruit things. Upgrade like one of the fruit food givers
To
or
produce
whatever,
more.
like a farm, and then it produces more. Then you can upgrade it to a different thing, like strawberries, I think it is, when you upgrade just a standard blueberry tree or something. So
and cactus, I can't remember what it's called. Something. There's a cactus variant as well for the desert, I think. But it's a really interesting game, I have to admit. I mean, we were lucky enough, the developers, the Abbey Games, were nice enough to send us some ID, so I actually get this for free, which is really nice. So we thought we'd review it. So if you are interested in this kind of game, and there has quite a lot of kind of longevity in terms of play, it's not a big game to install, which is also quite nice. The only thing that you had an issue with was because of your computer. You had a graphical kind of
it's not a particularly fast computer, but after about, I don't know, not half an hour, but about 10 minutes into the game, the frame rate kind of drops a little bit. But that is mainly because the video features, the only thing you can change is resolution and aspect ratio, and that's about it. You can't change like the detail of things. But it's a 300 megabyte install, and you can get it on Steam and Desura.
That's it.
And it's just a really interesting game. It's quite low end in terms of like not performance, but in like demanding of the computer stuff. But also the soundtrack as well. I find that music very calming.
Really
it's very
relaxing.
nice.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. So if you are interested in this, we'll link it in the description. Go over and have a look. Thank you very much to Abbey Games for letting us review it and to giving us copies. And we will see you next time. Thank you very much, Boop. Goodbye.
Thanks and bye.